Hello, hello everyone! Welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. This is Dori from Dori Designs, and today I am bringing you a second cowl. Aren't you excited? Don't worry, I won't only be doing cowls. This just kind of builds up into our next project, so I wanted to show you a combination of stitches here and then also a new stitch. So I'm going to be showing you this double crochet stitch here. And I have a few examples of other cowls I've made. I really like this design, as you can tell. I have gone a little crazy and made one in every color. I just think it's a really elegant, kind of simple look that you can pair with just a plain yarn if you wanted to. It looks really good. I call this the Daily Commuter Cowl. It's available in my Etsy shop. And I really like how the one side you get these nice ridges, and then the other side you get just the regular back of the crochet stitch here. So if you wanted to, you could flip it over and have that side showing. I also really love how this one turned out. This one is made with bamboo, and it is super like slouchy and flowy and luxuriant feeling because of that bamboo. It's super silky and soft. This one I held two strands together. I was using the True Boo and Fair Bamboo by Premier, and I started another one here, so it's a slightly different color. But this is holding two bamboos together, and if you're just beginning to crochet, I probably wouldn't recommend starting with this because bamboo can kind of split as you're working with it. But it is wonderful to work with, so after practicing a little bit and you're not splitting the yarn too much, then maybe go to bamboo. I have also made it with two thicker strands held together. This is two number 4 weights, and I think I used probably close to a 7 or an 8mm crochet hook when I'm going up to, the number 4s, and I'm doubling up here. This one is definitely a larger crochet hook. This one I ended up using this 11.5mm one. There we go. I really like this crochet hook, but I use that for this one, and you can see there's a few gaps in between the crochet, but since this, I think this is the bulky 6 yarn, since this is so bulky, it still looks like a pretty cohesive piece, and when you wear it, it doesn't feel like it's too breezy. So it's still close enough woven. So those are just some examples of what you can do with this pattern, and I just wanted to show you. Basically, you're going to be playing with how wide you want it and then how far up you want it to come on your neck. Okay, so today we're going to go ahead and use this Charisma. It is a bulky 6. It is quite bulky, and I'm going to go up to a size 10mm crochet hook for this. I think it recommends an 8, but I tried that and it's still producing a fabric that's a little bit too tight for this. This I want to be kind of loose and flowy and just kind of more gentle. And it has a lot of great small color changes in here. And since I have this little bit of brown, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here where it turns to gray, so we get kind of a solid gray piece instead of having just maybe like a few stitches of brown there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim away just that little bit of brown, and I'll use that for something else. And let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and start same way that we did for the Father's Day cowl. If you saw that, we're going to do a slip knot. Bring this back part through the loop and tighten. And then I'm just going to tighten it down around the hook until it is snug. Come on. There we go. Alright, and then we are going to chain. And the chain is just a simple yarn over and pull through. For this project, since we are making it slightly larger and kind of bulkier, we're going to go ahead and go to about 20 inches long for our chain here. Make sure you grab your measuring tape and measure it out. Go just a few more here. Okay, so now I'm going to ride along the top here with my thumb And I have all these curls that I need to make sure don't cause a turn in my work. Just go all the way down here. I got some funky looking ones. We'll deal with those here. Alright, here's the end. Okay. Alright, so we're going to find this V. So last time we found this V, and then we went into the very top part. And if you're just beginning in crocheting, I'd probably recommend just go ahead and do that and go into the top loop of each of these. But if you want to learn a new trick, we're going to make it so that this is the bottom of the cowl, that bottom edge. And so we are going to turn it here and actually go into the very back bumpy. So here's the V. Turn it over. There are all these bumps along the back side, and we're going to go into each of those. Alright, so it might be a little snug and tight. So again, if it's a huge pain, don't even worry about this. This is just a little aesthetically pleasing edge. And I'm going to take the yarn from both the ball and the end. I'm going to do a yarn over and then pull through both for that slip stitch. So we're just joining this loopy here. It looks good. Just check to make sure there aren't any twists. And then we're going to go ahead and do a single chain up. This is going to start our first row. So now I'm going to leave that tail behind. And I'm just doing that so that we don't have to work it in later. If you have color work that changes pretty quickly, then you might not want to do that. So now we're going to go ahead and do the single chain. If you did the other cowl, this should look very similar, but we're going to go into the back of the stitch this time. And it is a little tight, so sometimes I'll use like my fingernail here to try and push it through. And this needle, or this hook isn't very pointy either. This is going to be fun. Okay. So once you get it loosened up there, you can shove the hook through. And we're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. And then we're going to yarn over again, and then we're going to pull through the rest. Shoop. Here we go. That's our first single stitch, and we're going to go ahead and do that again. We're going to go into the back loopy here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. And we continue this until we get all the way around back to that first slip stitch again. Here we are at the end of the row, and I'm working these last few stitches here. So finish up this row. I just wanted to show, you just want to make sure you're not getting this last bit too twisted up. Looks like we've stayed good this whole time. So this stitch is actually leading into the next one. Went into this stitch here, and so I'm going to leave that last one since it's going into our chain that's going to go up here. So I'm going to look for that first slip stitch here at the base, and I'm going to go through the center of that. You can see this, the next stitch, that single chain up that we went. So I'm going to go into the slip stitch, and I like to go into like the really thick part of it here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab both of my pieces of yarn here, do a yarn over, and then pull through all of it. And it's a big chunk, but just kind of get it through there. And that is our end of row 1. Oh, it's so cute. Love it. Okay, so now I'm going to do a single chain up. And actually, I'm going to do 2 chains up, sorry. For row 2, I'm getting the very end of our tail there. That's perfect. I'm going to leave that guy. Okay, so for row 2, this is our 2-row repeat that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a single crochet stitch here, and then on the second row, we're going to be doing a double crochet stitch. So that's why we went up 2. We want to be able to build the base of our stitch here, or row here. And what I'm going to do is, like the Father's Day cowl, we work this a little bit differently. And we're going to do a yarn over, And instead of going in underneath this stitch here, this would be a normal double crochet where you'd go under both of these V's. We're just going to go into the very back loop, and that makes this front loop here part of our design, and you'll see that line develop as we work. Okay, so double crochet stitch. What we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, go through the back loop, yarn over again, bring it through, yarn over again, and then we're going to go through 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to go through the last 2. And that is our double crochet stitch. Again, we're going just into the back loop. We're not going under both of these. If you wanted to, you can. It just won't develop that line through the garment. So you can see on this, we're creating these lines by going into the back of the stitch. So if you wanted it to look more like this, where you don't see those lines, then you would just pick up the top part of that V. Okay, onward. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. This is just how I remember it. Or I'll do like yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Look how nice that looks. I love it. Alright, I'm going to pick up the pace here a little bit. And we are going to continue the double crochet stitch all the way around the cowl until we reach the beginning of the row again. I hope that if you are someone like me who gets cold pretty easily, that you start making and wearing cowls. I have been so shocked at how drastically my body temperature will change with just a small cowl, even if it's not a really big bulky one like you would normally see. The ones that I make are generally a little bit shorter and don't come up as far on the neck, and they are great body temperature stabilizers. Alright, and then make sure that you are taking a break and looking at your fabric every once in a while. This, I think, is the perfect crochet hook size for this bulky 6 yarn. I'm not getting a lot of gapping in between. This is exactly the kind of fabric that I was looking for. If you find that your project is turning out a little too gappy, there's like holes in between the stitches and it's just a little too loose looking, it doesn't look cohesive, it just kind of looks like a bunch of strings all around, then you might want to go down in your crochet hook size. I did try the 11.5 crochet hook size with this, and that's when I was starting to see a little bit too much gapping, and so I went down to the size 10 on this one. Okay, and I am getting to the end of row 2 now. So this is our last stitch that we'll work here. Whoops, go around, and then that. Okay. So now with the 2 high here, we did the first slip stitch, and then we did a chain, and we did another chain. So I'm going to go into that first chain. So this is our single chain up, and we're going to go through that one. So I'm going to stick my hook into the meat of it, just all the way through there. I'm just picking up all of that, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a yarn over. I don't have any more tail to work in, and get through all of that. Whew. All right. And that is end of row 2. What do you think? I love it. I think it's so darling, and I really, really, really like how it's looking. This yarn has a little shine to it, which is kind of fun. Make sure you like the yarn that you're working with too, and it's, you know, all looking the way you want it to. Okay, so now we can continue with row 3, which we're going to do a single chain up, and then we are going to continue around with the first row that we did. This is a 2-row repeat, so we're going to do a single stitch into each of our stitches. And this single stitch row is going to be a lot easier than the last one because we're just going through the top part of that loop. Super fast and easy. And you can see those nice lines developing here. Our next project is going to be one of my absolute favorites, and I am very excited to show you a sneak preview of that at the very end of this video. Make sure you check it out. But once you have learned these stitches, these are basically the setup projects for the next one. So the next project is one that I'm really excited about. Even though I love these cowls, I think they're beautiful and wonderful. But the next project is something that I wear all the time, and I have been really enjoying, so I'm excited to show you that. So stay tuned. So this cowl is a simple 2-row repeat. We have that single crochet stitch as one row, and then the next row we are going to do a double crochet. And the only other thing is you will probably want to end on a single crochet row. Just nicely frames the whole piece. So continue to work these 2 rows until you have the length of the piece that you like. And the wonderful thing about cowls and crocheting in particular, it's super easy to just try it on and see what it looks like. So if you throw it on and it needs a little bit more height, just keep going, or if you went too far, you can just rip out a few rows. Super easy, so it's one of the perks of crocheting. I think this pattern would be really fantastic with a sweater as well, or even if you just had the lines kind of at the bottom for your edging and then you omitted them later. I think that would look really nice. I think it's just a fun thing to play with and to add just a little bit of added complexity to your project. And if you can either work it in throughout the entire piece and make it uniform, then I think that looks nice. Or you can play with it as an accent as well. So you could have it on the edges and maybe have it framing a blanket or something. Could be fun. Let me know if you have done something like that in the comments, or if you are going to be trying that. I would love to hear about that. Sounds really fun. Have fun with the rest of your cowl. I will be quiet now and let you continue. Okay, so this is where, since we were crocheting with it before, this is almost ready. I can just kind of tuck it in a little bit here. And then this one I will weave in very similar to how I did in the end of the Father's Day cowl. So I'm going to direct you over to that video to see how I wove in the ends. But it's pretty simple. I would just follow this color here since I have this stark black. I don't want to weave in the ends through my piece here and get some very vibrant black through there. So yeah, watch the Father's Day cowl, the beginner's crochet cowl, and I will show you how to weave in the end of that video. I show how to weave in the ends, so please hop over there to see that. And thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. I think this is a beautiful and fun piece that can be adapted to whatever you want it to be, really. You saw all the options. There's a lot to do with this very simple pattern here. And this prepares you for next week's project that I want to show you, and I'm going to give you a little sneak preview here. We are mostly going to be focusing on the double crochet stitch, and this is a great piece to use up all of that faux fur or fun fuzzy fur stuff that you got years and years and years ago, and it's been sitting around, you have no idea what to use it for. Get it out. This will be the project to make with it. So I will see you next week. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. See ya.